Haruhi Suzumiya is the most influential person at North High. She's a known name around campus along with her merry friends, who themselves are influenced by Haruhi Suzumiya. Nothing shows this more than the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, a book and a movie that does what it says on the tin. If you haven't watched this movie or anime, I highly recommend you do. Yeah, I'm going to keep that in. I highly recommend you do, because it is incredible. It turns 20 this year, and the movie specifically turns 16 on this date. If I get it out within the next 5 hours, I will, because this is the last thing I'm doing. No subtitles here. We'll see subtitles in a minute. And yeah, it's really good. So obviously, spoiler warning, if that's what I said. This is a script that heavily relies on you knowing what the fucking anime does, I think. I've been editing it. I've got a concussion. More on that in the end. Yeah, spoiler warning. Enjoy. I also give you permission to skip episode 3 through 8 of season 2.
When looking at Haruhi Suzumiya's impact, the most obvious when it comes to this movie is Kyon. It's like the main spoken thing in this movie. Kyon is so often the straight man, or in a less comical sense, the man that draws the line, that the idea of him appreciating his time with Haruhi had to be shown in the most extreme circumstances. Haruhi disappearing from North High had such a profound effect on Kyon because of the relationships he had built with everyone in the SOS Brigade, and that now that had been removed. This is very clear because we don't see Kyon's first random breakdown until after he's interacted with all the remaining SOS Brigade members at North High. Despite the danger he is very often in due to the supernatural circumstances, his relationship with the people in the literary club room means more to him than the danger serves as a threat. And even though he does enjoy the supernatural aspect that Haruhi gives him, it's definitely not the reason he was on the verge of tears. The reason this is very much spelled out is because Kyon is the human aspect of the SOS Brigade. Not only does this serve the story, as he is a pretty good POV in the books, but he never ever treats his peers like supernatural entities. He's always worrying about Asahina and honestly just treats her like the pretty girl she is, and he has conversations and plays board games with his buddy Koizumi even if he's mildly to very put off by his weird cult vibe charisma. And then with Haruhi, he just never treats her with any reverence. She's just a queer girl who's got strong opinions and is very headstrong. The idea of treating other people with any sort of reverence is just straight up disgusting to him, especially Haruhi. Because to him, she's just Haruhi. His role in this story is to humanize her. This is very important, because this movie mirrors the first book.
And that's where Nagato comes in. Haruhi Suzumiya's impact on Nagato Yuki is very often the most outwardly negative. We learn that Asahina's interactions, though legitimately traumatizing, were eventually considered enjoyable in some type 2 fun kind of way from future Asahina. Whereas Nagato literally breaks down and betrays her own systems to use Haruhi as a battery to manipulate the data of the universe to create a personal heaven, or change it to the one that Kyon lands in. Her motivations can be theorized, but we know what the reason is. Haruhi Suzumiya. My own personal theory goes like this. Haruhi Suzumiya's power set is purposely confusing. It's why each clan had their own reasons for what happened 3 years ago and why they all had their own different origins. They all have their own explanations for what she can do and how she can do it. It also serves the same purpose to the story as the Sai of Haruhi Suzumiya does. Just another explanation of her character is also really introduced during the Sai. Just want to point that out. Because, saying that it serves the same purpose as Sai when it's 2 books later, when I'm talking about a book 2 books later, is kind of disingenuous because it was really introduced during Sai. So, if you don't know, Sai is the 5 last episodes of season 2 and the first episode of season 1, if you're watching in non-chronological order. And then there's the data thought integration entities observer, someone whose job it is to observe and analyze data in relation to Haruhi Suzumiya. Suzumiya. And she did this a lot. Like, a lot. Like 15,408 times a lot. And she did that a lot. Having to become the guard dog of North High. Having to experience the entirety of Endless 8. She put more work in than anyone else. No hands. Hands down. Having to experience the entirety of Endless 8. She put in more work than anyone else. And you know what else she got out of it? Realizing the same thing I have. The how and when of the changes in the universe that Haruhi has created cannot be verified because of the fact that she can manipulate data to that level. Which also means that Nagato's own existence and origins cannot be verified. The fact that that is insane on its own, not knowing that you, like how and when you started to exist, is kind of like existential and stuff like that. But the fact that she can never confirm that she wasn't a normal high schooler before, you know, Haruhi walked in the room is really, really, really depressing. And then, like, you, like, add up the other shit that she goes through, like having to put in overtime, having to do Endless 8 by herself, and, like, really only having one source of emotional connection within Kyon, you know, it's never good. So, if her reality doesn't feel real to her anymore, might as well make a new one.
Well, Kyon will answer that. Nagato Yuki wants to replace the world with something she would prefer because the current one is too depressing for her. Haruhi Suzumiya wants to replace the world with something she would prefer because the current one is too boring for her. The reason Kyon was able to make the decision he made, even after finding out who did it, was because he's made this decision before. In fact, he's made this decision without knowing what the future entails. When Haruhi was changing the world, he could have had a better life, but no, he chose the people he had gotten to know. Him having made this decision before wasn't the reason Nagato dragged Kyon into this. In fact, it's the exact same reason why Haruhi did. Haruhi had reached a goal in life yet couldn't figure out what to do with it, so she was feeling melancholic. And she explains her emotions to Kyon. Nagato's version of that was letting him see what the universe entails, what a normal life for them could have been. So why did the two of them decide to do this with Kyon specifically? Because Kyon actually treated them both like people, like humans. He spoke to Haruhi and was able to figure out what she likes and doesn't like. And he genuinely understood her better than anyone else in the last 3 years. He consistently asked Nagato if she was alright and genuinely checked on her emotional state despite her never expressing herself. So when it comes down to why Kyon chose how he chose, it wasn't because he had some sort of preference for Haruhi, or that he likes the supernatural aspects of the world he lived in. It's because both of them were going to remove the context from the relationships with the rest of their friends. And no perfect world is going to change that. And then there's the implications. If Nagato Yuki was so negatively impacted by Haruhi Suzumiya affecting the data in the universe, then wouldn't her doing the same actions cause the same thing? If Haruhi Suzumiya ever found out that Nagato Yuki took her from a world where she had everything she ever wanted, then Nagato would be no different than Haruhi. She would become the monster she ran away from. Kyon's role in the story is to be human. Haruhi's influence on him is human, and he's the only one to make all the emotional decisions and always draws the line in the sand because he's the only one balancing egos and emotions. Yes, Nagato's story is tragic, but Kyon, as a person, understands that Haruhi Suzumiya's influence over the coming months is likely to wane. She's gotten better at handling people, especially since he called her out during Sai. And he may not understand that Nagato is having a crisis worth blowing your shit smooth off over, but he's always willing to give his support to his homies. This man had been placed in a pretty bad spot by Nagato, and he swept that shit under the rug and immediately gave her the support she needs. He's a true floor general, Halaban type shit. He understands that she does so much for North High given Haruhi's circumstances, and he's very willing to match that energy. To threaten a power strong enough to destroy and create universes if given enough power with what amounts to a nuke is insane, and shows his dedication to his people. This movie humanizes a lot of characters. Haruhi, despite having minimal screen time, Nagato, despite this version only really talking at the end, and Kyon himself. Yes, Haruhi's influence is supernatural in nature, and the consequences of her personality are this movie, but it's solved by her influence as a person. She created a group of people so willing to do so much for one another that their bonds overcome the worst nightmare anyone could possibly have.
Just finished recording the intro. It was a mess. I'm pretty sure I've got a concussion. You know what? This was going to be on time 54 minutes ago. I'm going to stop eating. I thought it was a funny bit. Basic one. To restart. The beginning was great. So much fun. So much intriguing new bits I can do. So yeah, there was that. And then the video portion, recorded with this camera, tanked my performance every time I tried to go over it because of the anime stuff I put in, which was the first thing I edited. It's a good idea. And then, later, I got to the bit after that and I was like, okay, I hate this. I don't know what to do. So I just did the wall, if you know what the wall is. So basically, I need to figure out how to be creative before the next project. The script needs to be better before the next project because it was missing pieces and I don't think I explained myself thoroughly. But yeah, it was a great project, great fun to be back. This really rejuvenated my love for the game. So thank you. Thank you guys so much for watching this beautiful, beautiful video. I had fun. If you liked the video, like the video, and if you like the video, subscribe. And I'll see you I'll see you when I see you, because I don't know when it's either. I was gonna say next week. Not yet. Enjoy.